right up here in the front, we have some room. Do we have a party of two? Party of two for the front row right here?
Party of two. Hello, everybody. My name is Andrea Donica, one of your hosts of Party of Two.
And I am one of your other hosts, the Internet's Mark B. Donica.
And today we are having a very special Thanksgiving episode where we're going to talk about turkey for the most part, but anything else that we might be thankful for this holiday season in regards to the theme parks.
We're going to be so hungry after this.
Oh my gosh. Every single time I've been doing research for this episode, I'm like, gravy. I want gravy on everything.
Just gravy, that's all it is. You're telling me. There's. I didn't want to mention it, but since we're already here, Epic Mealtime did an amazing episode for Thanksgiving this week.
No.
And just looking at the thumbnail, I'm like, I want a bite of that.
Oh dear.
I want to bite it.
So I want to start off with a defunct tradition that used to be at the Disney parks.
Well, I want to give a little bit more because if you missed the last actual episode that we had, we didn't do one last week, but I put up a review for Ralph Breaks the Internet on our YouTube channel as a way to try to push people to our YouTube channel, etc., etc., etc. But we talked about how everybody just kind of skips over Thanksgiving
All the time.
So it just goes from Halloween to Christmas, and we don't have a lot of actual Thanksgiving stuff. So we looked around our area as well as the country to see what sort of Thanksgiving stuff there is.
There really isn't a ton of stuff.
Nope.
But there are little whispers of things. I think it all comes down to the fact that for Thanksgiving, it really is a time where you're away and with family, and being more of a quiet holiday as opposed to a very marketable holiday, I would say, even though its traditions are backed up by something like genocide and all sorts of unfortunate things.
Hard to market genocide.
Yeah. Especially with how so many people are now woke. But
Hashtag woke.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about pardoned turkeys to get the ball rolling.
Yeah. To get the butterball rolling?
Oh, I was about to say, I was like, oh, I missed that opportunity.
Yeah, we got it. Made it. Nailed it.
So in the United States, we have something called pardoned turkeys, and this wasn't always happening, but this started kind of around the President Kennedy, and for Disney specifically, it didn't start until actually George Bush Jr.
Okay, W.
Yeah.
No, not W.
Well,
Wait, no.
they're both
Yes,
W.
W as opposed to HW.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Before the turkeys were sent to a farm nearby, kind of a protected farm, not a harvesting farm, but they would be pulled from a farm. Turkeys actually don't live very long. Their life expectancy is usually a year if they're not being prepared for consumption. The way they feed them for their diets to get ready for Thanksgiving is a little intense, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
When they are selected by our president, they end up in a place where their diet is much more healthy so they can live longer, but they still don't have a very long life expectancy. And they always pick two.
Yeah.
So that there
They
is
have a friend.
They have a friend, but also in case, say, a turkey got sick from all of the traveling, they have another turkey in the wings.
Man, you're just ready today.
I am.
And she made tea this morning, and it's the apple. Is it the apple cider one from David's?
Yes.
And you were like, I thought it would be apple po, and I was not ready for it. I was tired, but I was also just like, oh yeah, that was really good. but I wasn't ready to react to
Yeah.
it. You're like, I'm running off. I'm not running on a lot of sleep
I'm
right now
so punny.
because you're my honey. Well, that's not the only reason why. But
Yeah.
this tradition was one of my favorites early on, back with the Big Thunder Ranch. To be able to just walk by and go, oh, I've seen those turkeys on TV or whatever. There's something about being able to walk through and see, quote, wildlife that
Yeah.
is a fun little thing. But then you go, oh, these are the pardoned turkeys. It's a weird, like, kind of morose, but like, hey, they're alive.
They're alive. And then, because of the short life expectancy, before Big Thunder Ranch, which is now defunct and closed because of Galaxy's Edge being built, their pen was empty for the longest time. And I kept looking over like, what happened to the turkeys? Oh my gosh, what happened to the turkeys? But they don't live very long, unfortunately. So they have some really funny names.
Yeah.
And oftentimes the presidents would make a special speech about how they had been pardoned. President Obama would be really, really funny, actually, with his speeches every year, which was something that I always looked forward to. And it was switched off between Disneyland and Walt Disney World for the couple of years that they did do it.
Really?
Yes. So one year they would be at Disneyland, and then the next they'd be at Walt Disney World.
Where would they be at Walt Disney World? Where would they go?
Where would they go?
Where would they go?
He looks so dramatic at me. They had a ranch similar to Disneyland.
Which park? Magic Kingdom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they would be in a big Thanksgiving Day parade, which you, of course, would see on television for Disney.
Wait, they would be in the Macy's or just in
No.
the thing, and that's they don't do a Thanksgiving Day parade
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
They do they just do the big Christmas one, which recorded a couple weeks ago. My brother happened to be in Walt Disney World the day that they were taping there and got to see Meghan Trainor. But see, we're already going past Thanksgiving onto Christmas.
Yeah.
But
that just happens.
I
every
really-
single time.
It was a fun tradition, and it was a cool area, and it gave it a weird sort of place in Americana, more so than Disneyland itself, because it was this weird kind of political thing where it took you out of the out of the Disney world, not literally, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
If you catch my meaning, but we were like, oh, the president pardon those. Oh, the president. Oh, whatever political things in the world. Blah blah blah. And it just sort of brought everything back, but it wasn't necessarily. It was a very interesting concept,
Yeah.
especially in a park that turns over so many turkey legs
Yes.
per day, per year, per
Oh,
month, per even your
My
year.
goodness.
So, but speaking of the turkey legs, this isn't necessarily an unknown fact, but there are some days where Andrew's just like, can you put on the old like History Channel like infomercial sort of stuff that Disney used to put out? And one of the little factoids that they go or was this on a different? Either way, Disney. The reason why the turkey legs are so big is because they use toms instead of female turkeys, like which are usually produced for consumption. So like Disney sort of gets first dibs on toms in order to procure them for the parks. Is there any other place aside from Disney where the turkey leg was super iconic?
Yes, actually, they started at Renaissance fairs,
Oh,
and
sure.
that's how they became a big deal. And Disney saw how popular it was. Everybody just loved them. And that's why you also see those iconic moments, maybe in television or whatnot, with someone in medieval garb and munching on a turkey leg.
Mutton shank.
Disney started to do it in the 1970s, and it was
70s?
yes, and it was a huge hit. And so immediately they had sent it over to their other parks as well. And in Disneyland specifically, over 2 million turkey legs are sold each year.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I remember the only other place where I remember it being, at least around here, a big deal was before everybody started doing the popular thing of the day to try to compete with each other, like how right now it's kind of donuts or sort of the thing.
It's always whatever is the next big flavor of the month.
Nice. And yet turkey legs never, aside from Ren fairs, the only other place where I can really remember them having some sort of an impact was at Universal Studios at the Flintstones barbecue, which is now gone for Hogsmeade. Some people would say for the better. I don't know if I would yet. It was one of the only places where you I'm being facetious.
Okay.
But it was one of the only places in the park where you could walk up and get a steak from a walk-up location.
Oh, it always smelled so good.
It was the worst.
I was always so hungry.
Like that was I can't think of a more prime strategic food location, because they had a huge outdoor grill and everything was made to order, including the turkey. Well, maybe not the turkey legs, because they had to be prepared a certain way in order to be comparable. But with the loss of that, Disney's kind of reigned supreme with the turkey legs.
I would say that it's more classically known to be at Disneyland, but theme parks all over the world always have turkey legs. It's one of those staples, other than churros and funnel cakes. I would say that's one of the big snacks to just walk around and find.
Are turkeys big anywhere else? Because do you know what, how, I mean, we have the bald eagle as our national bird. Do you know what the original national bird was?
Was it a turkey?
It was the turkey.
Oh my gosh.
Or Ben Franklin was really pushing for it to be the turkey. And they're like, "What? No, idiot." But because it was, I thought it was more unique to this continent, from Canada all the way down through Mexico, but I could be very wrong about that. So I wonder if that is the case, how Disney handles it overseas, or if they do, because they tend to stick to sort of to local delicacies as well.
Sure. And I mean, in Japan, for example, they will have things that are more akin to the region. They'll have gyoza and bowls.
Well, in Paris, they had waffles, which seemed weird at the. They weren't good, but it seemed weird at the time. But you realize how much that's around. That makes sense for a European.
I mean, if they threw fried chicken on it and did it here, I'm sure people would go crazy over it.
Yeah, that's kind of a craze right now too.
Yeah.
I mean, did you see KFC's doing that right now?
I did.
Terrifying. Well, the commercials are amazing.
They are.
Yeah, KFC's commercials. They
time of your life, and
Mrs. Butterworth.
They're dancing together. It was beautiful.
It's beautiful. There's.
Forgive Mark, he's still trying to get over his cough.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get over a cough, and it's early. I have tea and cough drops. But I Thanksgiving Day specifically, it's a day, like you mentioned earlier, it's a day to be with family, but sometimes people are out, people are traveling, and there aren't, you'd think there would be more Thanksgiving offerings. We found a couple of the bigger places that offer Thanksgiving stuff and a quote proper dinner, at least in our area. I looked up the Disney ones and Walt Disney World. They have a couple of locations where we've got Thanksgiving on the menu. Cool, great, but nothing super special. One of the restaurants at the Animal Kingdom Hotel had something kind of unique, but it wasn't major. And Disneyland offers a Thanksgiving buffet that starts at $120 for adults, $35 for kids,
And they get chicken tenders and macaroni and cheese.
dang right they do. But the main courses are Disney-fied version. Well, I say Disney-fied versions because it goes through their kitchens of the traditional fare. But you've also got like crab legs and jumbo shrimp and seafood, charcuterie, artisanal cheeses, various sort of I'd say highfalutin sorts of meals that you or
Well, it
entrees
is at
and-
the Disneyland Hotel in the Grand
it's
Ballroom.
at the Grand Ballroom. So there is that. I know you found something at Knott's.
Oh, yes. I feel like Knott's is the place to be for Thanksgiving if you needed to go somewhere.
When it comes to a country meal, there's nothing at Disney can compare to Knott's for me.
Yeah.
Because just with Mrs. Knott's Country Chicken Kitchen, I don't know. But with that restaurant and how iconic the biscuits are and jam, and they have the Boysenberry Festival every year, which maybe this is finally the year that we go, for goodness sakes. But that to me is like pure Americana.
Yeah.
Like Americana as opposed to Disneyland now being ingrained into the culture so much that Disneyland itself is Americana.
Yeah.
And anything it does adds to that. Whereas Knott's is more of a traditional, America.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they also have an authentic ghost town. Pieces from ghost town were brought in from other ghost towns to make it feel more authentic.
Super Ghost Town. I almost went Sector Keeper there. Super Ghost Town.
Shout out to the sector keeper.
Whatever couch you're busking on.
Yeah. So at Knott's, it's really nice because you can either have a Thanksgiving dinner buffet there with champagne, I might add, or you can do a Thanksgiving take-home dinner. So they can do all of the cooking for you.
Which is a very interesting proposition.
I think it's a really nice offering. I'm just going to go through the ingredients that they have because when I saw this, I was like, wow, that sounds delicious. And it serves about 6 to 8 people. You can choose between a 12 to 14 pound roasted turkey or an 8 to 10 pound glazed ham, 2 quarts of country apple stuffing, 4 quarts of mashed potatoes, 2 quarts of candied yams, 8 ounces of cranberry sauce, 8 ounces of bread and butter pickles, 1 quart of roasted Brussels sprouts, 1 quart of whole kernel corn, 1 dozen farm-baked rolls, 2 quarts of Knott's Country gravy.
It's so good.
Oh, so good. Butter and 4-ounce jarred boysenberry preserves, and of course, to top it all off, a choice of boysenberry pie or pumpkin pie.
Boysenberry. Gotta go Boysenberry.
All for $139.99 plus tax.
Compared to $120 per person, that's so much more appealing.
Yeah, absolutely. And then for the Thanksgiving buffet, if you want to eat on site with champagne, adults it's $49.99, kids $18.99, and seniors $30.99. That's night and day to me.
Yeah.
I think that Knott's really owns in that department, and if we didn't have a place to go for Thanksgiving, and thankfully we have family nearby, but
Yeah.
if we didn't, or if it was on us to cook and we got too busy, I would 100% look into just getting it all from Knott's.
Instant Friendsgiving.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I'll be right back. I'll be back in about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Oh, my gosh.
And I'll try not to get distracted.
Oh,
But I love that. I don't know. If it comes to a place where I would want to a place that embodies Thanksgiving a little more, I don't know why. Because there were Charlie Brown Thanksgiving specials.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find the commercial, so it could just be a fever dream. But I could swear I remember back in the day there were commercials for Thanksgiving time at Knott's where all of the costumed Peanuts, but Snoopy especially is poignant in my mind, are
With the
wearing
pilgrim hat.
outfits, or just full outfit.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but because they used to promote the ice skating theater, so that used to be
All the time.
that used to be a thing.
Well,
Like-
and they still do it 100%. I think they just tapered down on the advertising.
But
for
I
it.
also mean just parks in general, like the concept of an ice show.
That's a thing from the 90s.
Yeah.
100%.
Because it was at Knott's, it was at Six Flags, huge. I only saw that show once or twice because we were too busy to get on roller coasters, and but that was like one of their main selling points before they started getting into the coaster competition, I suppose is what you would call it.
Yeah, that's
Where
true.
they would just do ride. You okay there?
Yeah, no, suddenly I realized there was a hair on the microphone.
It's
and
everywhere.
It was, yeah.
It's like sand. But it's not coarse,
Well, sometimes it is.
but it does get everywhere.
Yeah. Especially here.
Was there anything else you wanted to mention about the Knott's Thanksgiving offering?
I mean, the first thing that I think of from Mama Knott's place are those biscuits and the gravy. And I think that
Boysenberry.
yeah, and the boysenberry. And just that alone makes me want to go.
Yeah. Since we talk about the lack of representation that Thanksgiving gets, I want to do some research. There had to have been someplace. There had to be a smaller location. And so I found a future destination for us called it's in Santa Claus, Indiana. 100% real. A theme park titled Holiday World. Long story short, it was opened as a Christmas park in 1946, but then in 1984, long time between, 38 years. Yep, 38 years. It was rechristened Holiday World when they added a Halloween section and a 4th of July section, but that's not the most important thing we're talking about. In 2006, on the park's 60th anniversary, they added Thanksgiving as an additional land.
Woohoo!
So now the weird part about this is that in Indiana, the winters can get a little harsh. I back in grade school, I had some friends that were from Indiana, and they were like, "Oh, snow. We know what that is." And so the holiday park is closed from November to March. Yep, November through March is shut down. So you can barely celebrate Halloween there. You can't celebrate Thanksgiving there. You can't celebrate Christmas there. But the quote magic is you can celebrate it every other day of the year. And when it comes to theming, it's pretty rustic. There's a pilgrim themed ride. There is a turkey spinner is the best way that I could put it. So it looks like a teacup, or maybe like the old carnival rides where it would be sort of like the doom buggy-esque cars in sets of 3 that would spin.
Right.
Yeah. So not necessarily. Well, I guess that is the same teacups, but
Yeah.
it's just a different ride vehicle, and you don't control the spin. But they're giant turkeys. They have the classic boat ride where it swings you back and forth, but it looks like the Nina, the Pinta, or the Santa Maria. That's not true. That's Columbus. But it looks like a sailing ship, as it would. But they have the Plymouth Rock Cafe, where full turkey dinners are served every day of the operating year. So
That's the dream.
that's the dream. And apparently, The pilgrim themed roller coaster titled The Voyage wins awards yearly
Oh.
for its design.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, what's so impressive about this ride?
The only thing that I've seen is it's got big drops, it's got free falls, it's over a mile long, so it's
Wow.
it's a little longer than your traditional roller coaster, maybe about a minute and a half, 2 minutes. But they a couple years ago in 2015 they added the Thunderbird.
Ooh.
They they had to create this legend for the time period of this Thunderbird, and then blah 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 blah.
Of course.
But it's as one of a representative from the park says, it's funny that the most thrilling of our rides are located in the same section as our heaviest meals.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's have a
That's
full
rough.
a full turkey dinner and then go on. You start me at the ship ride and I'm probably done because after a meal like that, and I used to love that boat ride. I still probably do. I just haven't been on one in a long time.
Right.
But I would sit. My record is at Knott's. I can't remember if it was at Knott's or Six Flags, but I once went on that ride 6 times in a row. But it's not. But it's just. It's just a boat ride. So
Yeah.
It's not, excuse me. It's not that big of a deal. But that's just one of the ones where I really enjoyed that type of a ride. So I'm really interested in going to Holiday World just to see how everything plays out.
Yeah. It does disappoint me that you can't be there during Christmas or Thanksgiving. But I get it. If something is outdoors, they have limitations. It's why Disneyland Paris doesn't have a Splash Mountain, for example,
Yeah.
because it would just freeze.
Freeze. But then they could have it themed to Black Panther, so it would never freeze.
Uh,
Yeah, your puns are better this morning.
yeah.
Thanksgiving ultimately is a time when we get to. Some people get the opportunity to spend time with family.
Or the family they make.
That's what I was gonna say. Is whether it's blood or not, you get an opportunity to spend time with those that care the most about you, that you care the most about, and reflect a little bit. And I wish that reflection would show. I'm wondering when that reflection would show who we are inside. Mulan reference, but ultimately, I want to see a little bit more.
Yeah.
At least the turkeys, the turkey display, I guess, the turkey pen was a way to keep that spirit. I don't know, because it reminded you of Thanksgiving.
Maybe. I think that, if anything, if they did some sort of if any theme park did some sort of a campaign of time together or something, corny but sweet. Maybe more of those little photo ops of people taking pictures and the whole family being there. That might be something.
And it might be something. Well, I guess we'll see when Thanksgiving rolls around tomorrow. If any of the parks have some sort of a photo frame or something, an area where people can take pictures with their family that is specifically Thanksgiving themed.
Yeah.
Maybe you it didn't say so in the ad, but if that you got a holiday photo, it would be very difficult depending on how many people you house in the grand ballroom. But if you offered like a nice family photo, even that I think goes a little bit longer for the $120 price tag.
Yeah.
Especially paper is not super expensive, even if you make it just digital, whereas then you make the person responsible for everything. But if you make it digital, the only cost is labor.
Right.
So offer something nice, dang it. Give folks a nice memento for their Thanksgiving.
Especially if they've gone out of their way to spend such a special holiday there. I think that would be nice. Well, as much as I would love to keep talking about turkey and gravy, I feel really bad that we've held up this cast member for this long.
Oh
so
yeah,
we
they
should
probably want to go home and spend time with their family too.
Yeah, so let's get on this ride before they have to wait any longer.
All right. Well, before we go, just wanted to remind everybody that you can follow us on Twitter and YouTube. We're at Party of Two Pod. Please follow along if you're listening on iTunes. Go to or if you're listening on audio in any of the audio formats, head over to YouTube. That's where the Ralph Breaks the Internet spoiler-free review lives. So make sure to check that out before you head to the theaters. But ultimately, go see that movie because it's really good, like unnaturally. And you can follow me at Mark B. Donica. I work on a bunch of stuff throughout the week, and I tweet about it, so follow me there.
And you can follow me at Dole Whip Drea on Twitter and on Instagram.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I almost did it. Of Party of Two Pod. We'll see you on the next ride.